Welcome to Freda Miletsky Healing Arts. I'm your host, Freda, and I am the healing artist. Woo, friends. So, yesterday I posted my first podcast and I got it out there. It exists now on all the different podcast channels and ways that you can hear me. And I listened to it once it was up on Spotify, and I totally, I had edited it ahead of time and felt positive, first pancake style positive. And then I put it up there. I pushed publish. It was on Spotify. I listened to those 20 minutes up on Spotify and I fell into fear. I was scared. The first thing I said to my husband was, "Don't listen to it." Yeah, almost like maybe embarrassed or, "Oh my God, did I go too far? It's so vulnerable." Go too far. I wasn't even thinking that way when I made it. I just made it without a ton of thought. There wasn't much put into it. It was just pretty much channeled through and speaking extemporaneously. So I really had to sit with myself. And this morning in meditation, I wrote down the things that came up for me. So I'm going to share those with you because we're going to do some real-time processing together because that's helpful. So this is how I do this in my life. So I believe it was my teacher, Marie Mandacheri, who had originally said this, but she said false evidence appearing real is what fear stands for. False evidence appearing real. Now, I'm sure many other people have said that as well, but she's the one I heard it from. Making up a threat as real when there's no evidence to support it. Fear is a story that we tell ourselves, and it is okay to feel that fear and really go into it and to unpack it and process it and move it through it, the fear, so that it doesn't impact our lives, right? It's okay to move through these things, but usually the perceived threat is one that a story that we've made up in our head that it actually doesn't have any evidence to support it in the real world. So I've made a list of, so I've published my podcast last night, and I've made a list of these are the things that came up for me. This is what I'm afraid of. I talk too slow. I pause too much. I sound so serious. People aren't going to stick around to absorb my message because it isn't packaged in a mainstream way. I'm not performing for you. I wear no makeup. I'm coming to you early in the morning, first thing. I still have sleepies in my eyes. Unbrushed hair, still in my PJs, all of that. I'm not fun or funny when I am in daily life. I am both fun and funny. I'm very goofy and playful. But I sounded so serious in episode 1. I'm so intense. Okay, so I've made a list of these are the things that came up when I listened to myself on Spotify. Now we're going to unpack it. So I said, well, what if I talk too slow? What if I talk too slow? So I'm just going to read what I wrote to you. I grounded myself. I opened the Akashic records of the podcast, and I am speaking extemporaneously through the records on the show to you. I am pausing to translate the information that I'm receiving. There is a frequency and vibration that you, the listener, will receive from hanging out with me in this space. So those who are meant for me will find me. And I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. So I really sit with that. Oof, I bring that into my body. And like, I am okay with that information. That, like when I think about that, I'm definitely not for everybody. Hmm. And that's super duper okay. My next one is I pause too much. And this is where I'm sharing with you what I'm trying right now. And that I can make notes pre-recording to help assist me in picking up the pace. My first podcast was just that, a first with no practice. No one is brilliant right out of the door. I can only get better, learn more, and keep going. Improvement is inevitable. Hmm. That one I feel sort of in my solar plexus, the sort of the seat of self-esteem. Oh my gosh, I'm not good enough right off the top. Well, honey, who is? How about I allow myself some freaking grace? Do you know how brave it is to even wake up in the morning and say, I am so driven and determined to share how I went from being somebody who absolutely hated myself, I wanted to die, to somebody who I love waking up every single day. And I am ready to just burst with light in a time right now that is freaking dark. Because if I can heal myself and I can go through this darkness to get to this place where I'm like, I am willing to stand up and shine. I am unafraid of nothing in so many ways, right? To just be able to be brave and do this. But I want to share this process with you because it's showing that even me being, yes, I'm unafraid, big, bold, getting out there. At the same time, it doesn't mean that I still don't go through the process as a human being of being like, gosh, I'm nervous about this. This is embarrassing or whatever. I'm just going to show you how we're going through the process of relieving that and just allowing it to flow through my body. I'm not holding on to this stuff. Next, we're coming into I sound so serious. And that I just sort of find fascinating. My personality is fun and playful and goofy, and this is something I'm curious about and I'm willing to keep exploring. It's what came through that first podcast episode, so it is what it was. I'm curious about it too. We'll see. I'm not performing or trying. This is just me right now. So that was one of the ones that this is the one about just not being very American, not putting makeup on for you if you're watching me on YouTube. Literally waking up. I get up super early in the morning. I'm a morning person, and my husband is a night owl, and we each love our solitude in the home. And I get the mornings, and I get it for hours before he wakes up, and that's when I do this. This is when I will be coming to you while he's still asleep. He gets hours at night while I'm in bed by 9 p.m. most times. So this is what works for me. And I'm not in the dressing room going to use, all of the things to bother getting dressed. I wake up, I meditate, I'm going to take some notes, and I'm going to come record a podcast. This is what I look like. I'm super fine with that. The frequency of love that I have for myself, I just, physical appearance is the least of my interests. And if that's something that's super duper important to you, I would ask you to address your programming around that. And that could be kind of triggering, but yeah, I mean that's a you thing because I'm super chill with it. I'm happy. I love myself in all conditions. And again, this is what I wrote down. Those of you that are meant to find me will find me. I'm not willing to perform or think too much about this. I'm following the energy, and the energy doesn't have time for contacts and makeup. Perhaps some days it will, but it's okay if it doesn't. And I'm comfortable with everything about me at 5 a.m. And that's just the truth. My physical appearance has nothing to do with my words or the frequency of my message. All right, this one is kind of interesting, my next one here. I'm not fun or funny. I did not sound fun or funny in my first episode. And I wrote, it's asking a lot of myself, someone who has hidden behind others for my entire life, to hit it out of the ballpark first try. I'll be kind to myself. I'm allowing myself to keep showing up and love myself through all of it. I'm going to love myself through my off-key singing, which was very vulnerable to share. I'm going to love myself through my long pauses. I am going to love myself through my bedhead and glasses and pajamas. My message isn't dolled up, and I refuse to show up outside of my authenticity. So this is it. It's vulnerable, it's uncensored, and it's present. So I've tried writing this out to see if it did. We're going to try this. This is a new, it's trying it on the go. And I'm like unafraid to try with you because I think there's a teaching in trying together. So I wrote these things out. And I thought, well, goodness, that will help with the pausing, right? And then I gave myself a pep talk this morning while I was sitting in meditation. And I want to share my pep talk with you. I placed my hand on my heart and I'm just going to share. I deserve to be here. I deserve to take up space. I deserve to speak my truth. I deserve to put myself out there. And if I resonate with you, wonderful. Welcome. If I'm not, may I pass you like a soft breeze and leave it at that. There are thousands of teachers. May you find one that lights up your heart and sets it on fire. So that is an example of real-time processing. So I sat with all of that. I did some journaling about it, some automatic writing about it. So what is automatic writing? And it's just a wonderful tool that I use nearly every day. It's getting into a meditative state. So I've quieted the mind. There's not much going on up there. And then I just sit and I sit with the pen in my hand and the paper on my lap. And then I just allow the words to come through. Sometimes they just come through on their own and I'm going to read it back. And sometimes they sort of drop into my head and I write them down. Then I'll pause. I'll go get a cup of coffee or a tea or something, but just like remove myself from the paper. And then I come back and read what has been written. So that is what I just shared with you. And then allowing to feel into the body. So some of these things I felt in my heart, some in my solar plexus, to go into those areas and just move that energy through. Well, how do I do that? Well, because I'm an energy healer and I've done this work for a really long time. I can feel into it and I can move the energy. But not allowing these things to become blocks in my system. And it is completely natural and human, I would say, to have some first fears about first putting oneself out there. But I wanted to share these with you because they came up for me and I thought this might be helpful because it's honest. And as I think about finishing this morning, because that's about the reflections I have, I think that it might be nice to just do a little grounding exercise together. I would like to do it, and maybe you would like to do it too. So let's just place our hands to our hearts together. This will take 3 minutes. Have a seat, wiggle your toes, feel your bum on the chair or the sofa or the wherever. Sit up straight, put your hand on your heart. Let's take 3 deep breaths. Breathing in, really pull yourself down into your body. Sit in the lower half, feel your feet, feel your bum, get into your body. Exhale. Breathing in. Allowing yourself to sit into the seat of yourself. Breathing out. Feeling that relaxingness as you get embodied. One more. feeling your feet, wiggling your toes, imagining that you have a window on the bottom of each foot, imagining that you're dropping 1,000 energetic tree roots of light down through your feet. So 500 from your left foot, 500 from your right foot. Imagine those dropping deep down into the core center of true earth, becoming one with our beautiful Mother Earth. Imagining in our root chakra area, dropping a grounding cord down through the bottom of your seat. So down through your bum area, you're going to just imagine dropping a long grounding cord of light down to the core center of true earth. And again, just oof, feeling this energy shoot up from the center of earth into your pelvic floor, your reproductive area, into your root chakra. Feeling that going over your hip sockets, moving into each of them like a figure eight energy going in and out, moving over the tops of your thighs, your knees, your shins, ankles, feet, and down into those energetic roots you already have established. And just imagine that you have a tripod grounding cord seat connecting you to the earth. And just you're in your body. You've pulled yourself in here. You are in. And I'm going to ask you to just rub your hands together. Rub them together fast, fast, fast. As fast as you can. Feel that heat building up between your hands. And then you're going to slowly start moving them apart. Feel that crackling energy between. You're just moving them a teeny little bit, pulling them apart, till you're 3, 4, 5, 6 inches apart. Feeling that energy between, and you're going to imagine the great central sun, a big ball of yellow electric light between your hands. And you're going to take that and burst it out into your auric field. Our auric field, a healthy one, goes 3 blocks out on every direction, and you're just going to burst it out. That great central sun is going to clean up your entire auric field. We are setting the attention that it does that now. And then we're just going to go ahead and place our entire being in a pyramid of white light. Protecting us from anything that is not in our best and highest good coming at us today as we walk through our day. We're going to go ahead and put a cloak of invisibility over ourselves. Only those in our best and highest good can see us. And my intention for you today as you walk through your day for the most benevolent outcomes, for those things in your life to just come at you and just for them to resolve in the best way possible for you. And that's where I will leave you, my dears. I love you. The universe loves you. Creation loves you. You are so loved, and you are simply magnificent. Have a wonderful day, my friends.